Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking Reds, where we bring you the latest Liverpool news and transfer news and much, much more. So Arne Slot did his press conference today for the Carabao Cup semi-final against Tottenham tomorrow, in which he revealed what potential position he might be looking at in the summer, the size of a big squad, how impacted it is in terms of English football compared to European football, how important it is to keep standards at this club, which he always seems to reiterate in press conference, how he always talks about standards and what it means to be a Liverpool and why it's important to win. And he also gave an update on Trent Alexander-Arnold and his injuries. Let's start with Trent. So the word from Arne Slot is basically out for tomorrow. We still don't know about Sunday yet against Plymouth, and potentially we're looking at really is the Merseyside derby next week as our game in hand for him to return. But he did reiterate that everyone else is fit. Trent is back with the rehab coach onto the pitch, but I think this game tomorrow has just come a bit too soon for him. So, but everyone else is fit, which is fantastic news. It's a selection date that Arne Slot probably needs, and probably we need at Liverpool at this time of the season. It's so nice to have this many players fit at once. Will it stay that way? Touch wood, it does. But Arne Slot did also mention about the squad depth and how important it is to have more players available and more players to pick from. And one thing he didn't like what's happening in his country is the fact that it's a 20-man squad rather than 23-man squad, especially going into competitions like this, where when you're playing 4 different competitions, it's so important. He did reiterate that it's so important to have such a big squad that he can be able to rotate. And he did say, though, it's a shame that we have to drop 3 players from the squad itself. It might be easier. He said it might be easier for the first team to pick the first team, but a squad is hard because 3 players have been working hard all in training, and it's hard to just drop them from the squad and give them at least a chance in a game like this. And I get that. I mean, this is why it's so important for Liverpool to go out there and strengthen at times, because it's when you're in all 4 competitions, I think the chance of rotation or the chance of just resting players every now and then is absolutely important. But make sure we are keeping standards and keeping results going at the same time. Yes, there's always going to be a drop off, usually from the first team to the bench. But the idea is to have a bench and a first team that's going to fight it out for these spots. And when Liverpool fans say, "Oh, we're not going to buy players just for the bench," they're not coming for the bench. How long have you watched football for? Even going back to Man United in the 90s, look who there's Solskjaer and Sheringham on the bench. They're too good to be on the bench, but they would fight for that spot over York and Cole. And that's the way competitive elite football is. It's not about buying bench players. It's about buying players that will keep the first team on the toes and potentially fight for the spots for them. And maybe if they're good enough, they'll get the spots over them. We talk about how good our forward depth is, but then we have Jota on the bench. Is Jota really a bench player? No, not really. He's a bench player until he performs well and he's in the first team for Liverpool. He's not a bench player. You don't regard him as a bench player. Go to any other club in the world, he won't be on the bench. And that's why it's so important to have such squad depth. And Arne Slot is absolutely right in terms of why do other countries have around Europe, how do they have that 23-man squad? But in this country, where we have probably the most games, probably the I want to say toughest games, the most intense games, why do we allow to have a 20-man squad at such a game like this, for example? And it is a very, very good point for Slot to make, and it is good for him to make because he has been in Europe and he has obviously managed in a Dutch league. So he's seen how they treat their squads, they treat their players, despite not having as many games as what we would have, for example. But yeah, I love what I love about Slot is and the standards that he's setting. He's always saying it in press conferences. Well, if you wear the shirt, look, you need to be here. You need to be at this level. Our goal is to win games. He was asked about tomorrow's game. He said, if you play in this shirt, you need to win the game. That's for tomorrow, Sunday. There's only one thing that's expected of you, and that's to win the game. And he also went on to say, obviously, the game after that and the game after that. Liverpool standards is there. And that's where our standards should be matched on the pitch and off the pitch. In recent years, it hasn't been matched off the pitch. But Arne Slot is the perfect person to come in right now and keep those standards. At least he's keeping those standards on the pitch. Look, if you're wearing that shirt, you are expected to win. You are Liverpool Football Club. We are Liverpool Football Club. This is our standard. This is what Shankly and Paisley set us. We don't settle for second best. At the end of the day, we're not expecting to go win titles every single season. But what we should expect is our goals to be that. That's what's expected here. And we expect to go out there and make sure we do everything we can to win the game on and off the pitch. And like I've said, off the pitch, we haven't been doing that. We haven't been addressing certain things. We've not really gone to make sure we go win titles. We've not done that off the pitch. I'm just glad Arne Slot's got that standard right now. And I hope in the future things change in the background where the ambition matches what he believes what Liverpool is and what everyone should believe what Liverpool is. And that is the biggest, the biggest club potentially in England and built on success, built on the foundations of Shankly, built on the foundations of Paisley, and that is to win and to keep, and that is the aim every single time to win. But yeah, absolutely love Arne Slot's standard. The reiteration of standard. He always says it in every single press conference I've seen to react to. He seems to always mention standards. He also mentioned about a position. He was asked about a position. I think Mo Stewart asked him at that. I think Mo Stewart, he's on Anfield Rap. I think he was the one that asked him about a striker. And this is what he said about a striker, what he expects as a striker. I'll be happy if that player becomes both a facilitator and goalscorer. In the end, the striker should be a facilitator and a goalscorer and score goals. So the person that can be involved in all the play, but make sure he scores goals as well. That is a striker. And I always see like people online or people on certain channels and things like that and talking about tactics and saying Liverpool don't play to a striker. They don't play to a striker. They don't play. Their goal scorers are from the wings. Yes, because we ain't got a goal scoring striker, bar probably Diego Jota. If he can't, I still see Diego Jota as more left winger sometimes. I think he's better from the left wing. But even then, he's not available enough. We haven't really got the striker that can score the goals. Give Arne Slot an Isak. Give Arne Slot a Gyökeres, as someone that can score goals as well as facilitate around the other player as well. That's exactly what Arne Slot wants. And for saying, Liverpool don't play that, we don't play for a striker to score goals if we haven't got a striker that scores goals. That makes no sense at all. The only reason why our wingers score is because they seem to be our clinical players. Like I said, bar Jota. I'm talking about Núñez here. Salah and Gakpo and Diaz are more clinical than Núñez. So that's where the goals are going to end up coming from. If we have a striker that can do both, I've said this before, the complete striker for me is Isak. He's the one that brings the wingers into play. He's the one that gets the best out of the wingers, but also bags goals himself. Look how many goals Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon get. And that is based off how Isak plays, the way he can come back, receive the ball, allow runners in behind him. And he'll play a good pass as well. And the way he drives as well also creates big space for his strikers. That's the kind of striker you need. But Isak also puts in goals himself, as you've seen every single week. He's scoring for fun. So I do believe that Isak, for me, is still the complete striker and the perfect striker for Liverpool. It's just, again, it's his injury record. If we were to keep a Jota, then it's hard to have an Isak because of the availability. I'm just hoping if we do get Isak, these injuries sort of slow down. They might do. Someone like Jota or Curtis Jones, for example, they've sort of increased a little bit. And Kanate, as an example, these injuries just won't go away. Just won't go away at all. And it's a shame that is the case for such brilliant, talented players. So a striker seems to be the one that Arne Slot's talking about, seems to be the one that could be a potential move. And then that says a lot about where Núñez ends up in all this. There's always been rumours and reports about Núñez moving away to Saudi. Saudi wanted him as a main. I think it was Al Nassr that wanted him, but ended up getting John Duran. I think Núñez is pretty much gone. No matter what, he did well against Brentford, got the 2 goals, but he doesn't do it enough on enough occasions to get these goals. And I think the reports out that came from the club was that Arne Slot's told him, look, sort it out a little bit. And I think it's quite clear. I've always said this, like, people say, oh, Arne Slot said he's happy with the squad. He's happy with the squad. Why do we need transfers? Happy with the squad. Just like Jurgen Klopp, Arne Slot speaks louder with his actions than his words. He's going to say he's happy with the squad. He's not going to call out the owners, just like Jurgen Klopp did. But what he will do is he'll show you by not playing them. He clearly doesn't fancy Endo. He don't really fancy Kwanzaa. He doesn't really play Nunes. It's a shame that he doesn't play Elliott a bit more. I want to see a bit more Elliott because I think Elliott's sensational. But he shows you by his actions, by who he plays. Even when he has a chance to play Nunes, he won't play Nunes. He's playing currently now Diaz up front, who's a left winger, over Nunes. So it's alright saying, oh, but he says he's happy with the squad. He can't be happy with certain players that he's got or certain options that he does have, because he'd play them in the positions that he wouldn't play Diaz as a striker if he was happy with Nunes. He wouldn't do that. Why would you do that? Nunes is a striker, Diaz is a left winger. To me, I think people read too much into words and what people say, and I think that's the gospel. But then they ignore everything else. It's just a tunnel vision, a narrow-minded vision of, oh, he said that he's happy with the squad, so that's it. He must be happy with the squad. If he was happy with the squad, we wouldn't want signings. We wouldn't want a Zubimendi. He would play a striker up front instead of a left winger. So I just think it's all about what he does more than what he says. I do like that he keeps calling this standard out and making sure that our standards are up here on the pitch. I just hope he does get it back in. I hope we could sign these 3 players under contracts. I hope we can back him and keep that standard off the pitch as well as on the pitch. But yeah, big game tomorrow against Tottenham. 1-0 down. We do have a lot of work to do, but we can do it. It's Anfield. It's Tottenham can't defend. We have got to go and start that game off the bat tomorrow and make sure we get through to that final and start this season, a potential successful season, with a bit of success. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like this video, which helps us out massively. Subscribe to the channel and get notification bells on as well. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, guys.